Partnered by Times Influence.
On behalf of the Economic Times and the Aditya Birla Group, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all our esteemed guests today. Well, the Economic Times Young Leaders B-School edition presented by the Aditya Birla Group is really a platform for recognizing and rewarding India's most promising final year students. Now, the 2017 edition of this program received an overwhelming participation from close to 16,000 final year students from B schools across the country. Now, these students underwent assessments both in terms of online tests and a case study across 3 phases. Today, we have 51 finalists who were interviewed by some of India's top business leaders. And very soon, we will announce the lists of the Economic Times Young Leaders B-School Edition 2017. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to introduce you to our esteemed panel. We have with us the CEOs of our country, ladies and gentlemen, who are going to be sharing their leadership journeys with all of us. So, without further ado, I now request Tanveer Gill to take this discussion forward.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome to this Leadership Masterclass. So having a panel of 8 esteemed leaders, well, this afternoon couldn't get better for all of the participants who've come down from across the country. I want to start with the lady in pink. I remember saying this last year as well. This is not only a learning experience for the students, this is also a learning experience for the panelists and for the CEOs. So what was your takeaway from the interactions you had today?
What we found was that a lot of them had work experience, and then we asked about why they chose to do MBA. And I think their ability to connect their choices in life was quite a good revelation. Second was we could actually probe on the strategic agility of some of them, and to me leadership is all about strategic agility. The third takeaway for me was about the kind of multiplicity of things that today's kids are doing. It's not one thing, they have 5 other passions. So even on the extracurricular side, it's not one thing. Somebody had literary, somebody had mountaineering, and how they brought those mountaineering lessons to real life, those kinds of things were quite interesting. And another good takeaway for me today was about honesty. Like we had somebody in the panel who was a lady and was working in a manufacturing kind of setup, and she admitted that it was not easy to manage blue-collared workers, so she would use her male colleagues. But I thought, to me, honesty and acknowledging your limitations and trying to get over that, those are good leadership lessons. So.
Ajay, what were your key thoughts post this interaction?
I think the first thing is it's a very tough job because, like you said, there's 16,000 of these really bright people from which you select 51 who are really the top of the tops. Then having to make a choice amongst the top 10 to select 4 or 5 people is really an unenviable task, and I think all of us have been through that ourselves. I think I was struck by how much you can fit into a page actually, because all these guys have a single sheet CV and the font size varied a lot, I think, depending on how much they needed to do to fit into that page. But it's really amazing how many things people are doing these days. I mean, if I go back to what I was doing and at their age, clearly not doing half as much as what these people are doing today. So tremendous breadth of experience in terms of work experience, extracurricular activities, and obviously these people are really smart at what they do in academics itself. So I think congratulations to the entire bunch, really a wonderful bunch of people, and wish you all really the best in whatever you choose to do.
Dave, come to the fact that, this exercise is also a reflection for yourself. Like Ajay said, did you also have that sort of experience today?
It does, so I have the good fortune of working with a lot of youngsters. So my need is to meet youngsters and try and understand what are they thinking, how are they thinking, and the kind of focus that youngsters have nowadays. And to see the kind of effort people make to chart their journey and design their professional careers is very, very enlightening to me, as it were. The opportunities that are opening up in sort of jobs and entrepreneurial opportunity, there are so many more today than there were then. I think I would urge youngsters to start looking much wider than than what the business school tends to take you to. And you will see that, the opportunities and the career path that you take is going to be very, very significantly livening and entertaining, and at the same time, very rewarding.
Okay, Manoj, if you were to give a message broadly post this exercise to all the participants who are present here, what would that be?
When I look at some of the tenets that came out, the tenets are self-awareness, and that was consistent across everyone that we got an opportunity in the 3 hours to interact with. Self-awareness came through, compassion came through, passion came through, aggression came through, and these are elements that are going to hold not only the folks here, but the entities and the institutions that they represent going forward in a very, very big way in times and years to come. So my key takeaway is we are blessed that in our midst we have the future leaders. You all should feel very good that you have platforms and forums like this to showcase your talent, and every one of you is a winner.
Dilip, what would be your words of advice?
A leader has to, it's contextual. Sometimes you have to show the way, sometimes you have to go the way, and sometimes know the way. And I think they have to do all the three, but depending upon the context, they have to use it. So to my mind, I think it's nuts and bolts are as important as the strategy. And that's what I've always believed in my life. And there are times when you have to be strategic, there are times when you have to be operational. And the second thing, I think what I saw was a lot of enthusiasm and energy level. I think you must preserve that. And I think it's not only onus on them, onus on us as well. I think in corporate world when they enter, I think we should make sure that we nurture this high level of energy and enthusiasm. And I think that is something which will make a winning combination.
Himanshu, that brings me to my next question for you, which is, you are in a sector where, you're facing challenge every single day. So how do you combat that? Because like Dilip said, this is a long journey. You need to keep yourself energized for the long haul. How does one do that?
You have to wait. You can wait in terms of opportunities or challenges, and which you will face on an everyday basis. And you need to be able to think 5 years ahead, and rather than worry about transactions that hit you on a daily basis. So the ability to be able to visualize and see what future holds for you is as much important as to be able to be driven by today's transactions or what is hitting the operation. And if you're clear where the final direction and goal is, obviously it's not going to be a painless process, it's going to be a painful.
The journalist in me is compelled to push you all for examples and anecdotes from the journey that you have made to reaching the point where you are today. So, Shogato?
I think managing polarities. So I think biggest learning for me is managing the short term with the long term, managing agility with excellence, and managing, I think, empowerment with governance. So the fact that in the earlier days you could manage one, and I think it's always you are, as long as you are dabbling both together. And I think managing polarity is the biggest thing in today's world. And the second thing is, biggest learning for me has been, and the organization has been, that what gets you here will not get to the next place. So next level. And today, for example, digital is an opportunity more than a disruption, and anybody can disrupt. In our sector, Patanjali has shown how disruption can come from anywhere. So I think just as mutual funds have the disclaimer that past performance is not an indicator, I think it's relevant for anybody, it's relevant for individual and relevant for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I think disruption is the most abused word right now. Sumitra, coming to you, what are your thoughts on multitasking and managing 2-3 objectives in one?
I think it comes down to managing your short-term goals with your long-term goals and making sure you have enough balance as well as focus on both. And anytime you lose sight on either of those, you may end up making decisions you regret. And even if you end up making a few of those decisions, as long as you learn from them, it's great to take it from there and move forward. And then I've always found it's a great point for young leaders. Once you have a track record of great results, you'll be able to take the most risk you'll ever been able to take, and people will trust you. So performance is always the most important.
Dave, looking at new businesses, what if you go wrong at the start?
The word risk is inherent in a startup, or anything that you start off. And you have to be prepared for a risk-managed way of going forward. And there are a lot of things that the environment imposes on you in terms of risk mitigation, etc. There are things that you bring into the picture. When youngsters want to come into business, the thing that you have to tell them is that do a little bit of diligence before you start what you're doing, and then be open to criticism and open to learn from people with gray hair or no hair. They bring something on this table called wisdom and age, take it.
Ajay, as you keep bettering yourself, there is a point where you're like, okay, let me just, chill for a while. Does that happen? I mean, how do you kind of continuously push yourself after every target has been achieved or every milestone has been achieved?
In my view, Tanvi, I think it's much more around the vision you set for the organization and yourself, which I think in some ways as a leader gets intertwined. If that goal and that vision is more near term and around events and milestones, like you say, then you tend to stop, you tend to look complacent, you tend to get very satisfied with where you are. And I think the minute you get that perspective and you realize how far the road ahead is and how far the journey you have to travel, then I think the perspective hits home very soon. So you celebrate and you get back to work very quickly because you realize there's so much more to do.
Dilip, I want to talk to you about, the varied businesses that you have managed through the course of your career. How did you make the transition from Unilever to Grasim Industries? And what did it teach you?
See, if I look back in my journey, I have changed 2 companies but 15 industries. The mantra is you have to understand where do you create value in whichever business you go and where you destroy value. I think if you know 2 or 3 areas where you are creating value and where you are eroding value. As a CEO, you have to focus, be very clear. There is no point getting bogged down with the domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is very easy to get these days. What is important is how do you leverage the knowledge and how do you convert that into monetize the knowledge.
Himanshu, many times people believe that a leader has everything under control. It's not the case always, right?
I think complexity is very much part and parcel of CEO's life, and rather than to run away from it and see it as a stressful, enjoy the game.
Enjoy the game. Very well said. Zareen, give us your perspective on what's been your observation with regards to women leaders versus men leaders.
I've worked with a lot of women bosses is empathy, and that is I think a women characteristic. So a little bit of empathy on when somebody has a sickness or somebody has any personal side issue, and otherwise it's person to person dependent. To my mind, there's no particular woman characteristic versus male characteristic, really.
Okay. In fact, Satya Nadella also spoke about empathy extensively in his book. Shagato, do you think that's an integral part of emotional intelligence that male leaders are also rising up to and acknowledging?
I think empathy is critical, and just to pick up that point from Zareen, I think one of the things I have noticed is the transition for male empathy and for driving diversity happens. And it happened from the 90s to the 2000s, and that's one where a lot of leaders, when they grew up, had spouses who were also working.
Yeah, true.
And once that happens, I think empathy automatically develops because you now know how she is doing the balancing, and therefore you then start doing. And to me, the biggest challenge we have realized, and because I'm very proud of the fact that in R&D and marketing, our leadership majority is women, because they are consumer facing and we deal with consumers who are more women than men. I think it's a transition from coming back to work, how do you create an enabling environment after they come back from a maternity leave, and then providing the flexi time, and that empathy of the supervisor is the most critical part there. Yeah. Because you can have a workforce who gets in at 50-50 diversity, but it's about senior leadership, how do you create an enabling environment, and I think that's where I have seen and we cultivate that. My marketing team, top leadership is 100% women, and the top 4, and we are, I think, and that happens because we have consciously created that, and we actually ensure the supervisors are actually particularly sensitive to that.
Sumitra, I came across this great quote this week itself. You think you're right, confidence. You think only you are right, overconfidence. How do you kind of combat that? Because as a leader, especially in a growth company where there are multiple strategies, there are people who are advising you all the time, and then you have your own gut instinct to go by with as well. So how do you balance between the two?
I think the greatest skill set any leader has is its ability to listen, as well as to adapt and understand First and foremost, the people that work for them, and then secondly, the customer. And I think there's been lots of case studies when you see people that assume they know what either their people believe or think, or the customers, and don't really listen, that success doesn't happen.
Manoj, you took over the India operations of Amex. Same question for you. So how do you kind of keep the balance so that you're confident, but you don't become overconfident, and you listen to the right people at the right time to make the right decision?
So the way I look at this, leadership is inclusive at all stages. You have to build consensus up to a level. Beyond that, you cannot continue to try and build consensus. Decisions have to get taken, and you have to let people know that this decision is getting taken with these facts on the table. So over a period of time, your peer group, who was your erstwhile peer group, now probably is reporting into you, they get used to your leadership style. But you need to make it as collaborative. You don't start saying, look, I'm the boss, and I was your peer, now I'm your boss. It's all about working together, but making it very clear who has the decision rights.
I'll end then with punchlines coming from each one of you. Sumitra, can we go with you, your punchline?
Whenever I'm having a bad day, I go to my stores and watch how our customers and our people that work there respond, and I have a much better day.
Manoj?
I'm absolutely delighted with the fact that today an X number of people are looking at you as a role model for them.
Ajay?
Do what you enjoy and enjoy what you do.
Dev?
Mindfulness. So for the young generation, stay in the moment, stay focused, enjoy the moment. Don't get distracted all the time with 50 things.
So true. Zareen?
So for me, it's about agility, and given what we are seeing in the banking industry, I want to say a quote that when a new technology is introduced, you can be the road roller or the road. The choice is yours.
Very well said. Shakata?
I think first I will say courageous authenticity, be courageous and authentic always, and never ever think that you have arrived in life. You will be surprised.
Dilip?
Maintain this curiosity and don't stop dreaming.
Okay, Himanshu, last word from you, punchline that gets you going.
What you do when nobody is watching is more important to what you do when everybody is watching. Because I give a much higher marks to character, because it's for any ambitious person, all of it is there. But it's how authentic, how correct, how strong your character is. That makes a big difference.
Be true to yourself before anybody else. All right, with that, I'd like to thank all the panelists. Thank you very much for this engaging discussion, for this great panel discussion.
And that brings us to the moment that we've all been waiting for. Yes, announcing the chosen few who've made it to the Economic Times Young Leaders B-School Edition 2017, presented by the Aditya Birla Group. Well, first up, I'd like to request Dr. Santrupt Mishra, CEO Carbon Black and Director HR Aditya Birla Group, and Ashok Ramchandran, Group Executive President HR Aditya Birla Group, to please join me on stage to give away our first set of awards. Thank you, sirs, for joining me. And here we go with our first winner. It is Ashna Malhotra from IIM Indore. And our next winner is Aditya Sharma from NITI, Mumbai. And next up we have Adityesh Mitra from IIM Bangalore. And our next winner is Agrima Pokhriyal from XLRI Jamshedpur. Thank you very much, sirs, for doing the honors. Thank you. I'd now like to request Himanshu Kapania and Dilip Kaur to please come forward to give away our next set of awards. Okay, and here we go. It is Akshay Kakani from SP Jain, Mumbai. And next up we have Alok Sheth from XLRI Jamshedpur. And put your hands together for Anak Agarwal from XLRI Jamshedpur once again. And our next winner is Apurva Agarwal from ISV Hyderabad. And next up is Ashwin Thomas from NMIMS Mumbai. Fantastic. Thank you so much, sirs. You may please take your seat. And now I'd like to request Zareen Daruwala and Saugata Gupta to kindly step forward to give away our next set of awards. Please. Okay, and here we go. It is Devpriya Jagannath Jadhav from NITI, Mumbai. And let's hear it for our next winner, Divya Kalakuri from JDIMS, Mumbai. And next up we have Harsha Harikumar from SP Jain, Mumbai. And our next winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Himanshu Bhatia from IIM Lucknow, who is not in the room because he's currently on an exchange program, but many congratulations to Himanshu. And next up is Janil Shah from SP Jain, Mumbai. Thank you very much, ma'am and sir, for doing the honors. You may take your seat. I'd now like to request Ajay Srinivasan and Dev Bhattacharya to kindly step forward to give away our next set of awards. Okay, our next winner, Mimo Srivastava from ISV Mohali. Next up is Mohini Buddhi Raja from SP Jain, Mumbai. And our next winner is Navneet Kaur from ISV Hyderabad. And let's put our hands together for Prakhar Balasubramaniam from IIM Ahmedabad. And our next winner is Radhika Padmanabhan from JVIMS Mumbai. And thank you, sirs, for doing the honors. I'd now like to request Sumitra Ghosh and Manoj Adlaka to kindly step forward to give away our next set of awards. All right, here we go. Rochisman Datta from IIFT, Kolkata. And let's give it up for our next winner, Spandan Saha from IIM, Bangalore. Counting down to our final two, it is Tushar Garg from NITI, Mumbai. And now let's hear it for Vasu Goyal from ISB Hyderabad. Thank you very much, sirs and ladies and gentlemen. Time to give a thunderous round of applause to all our winners of the 2017 edition. With that, it's my cue to invite on stage Pooja Agarwal, Head of Young Talent at the Aditya Birla Group, to kindly address us all. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her with a round of applause.
I truly feel honored and privileged to be in this gathering of some of the best achievers of this country. Congratulations to all the winners of the Economic Times Young Leader B School Edition 2017. I congratulate all the finalists too, who have reached this platform. It's truly an achievement to have made it to the top 0.31%. This is indeed an honor, and we commend you on this achievement. The ETYL B School Edition was launched in 2014 to encourage and identify young leaders who will be stepping into professional corridors. This is in line with our group's philosophy of building versatile Gen Next leaders by providing challenging and varied opportunities to participants early in their careers. On behalf of Aditya Birla Group, I thank all our jury members who have partnered with us in this initiative. We are sure that your interaction with the participants today will enable them reflect and initiate the right steps to be great leaders. We are committed to continuing on this path of identifying and nurturing future leaders for the country. Thank you, and have a great afternoon ahead.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to capture the moment of glory for all our winners. All right, and as we capture this moment, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you for gracing this event with your presence. Thank you.
Partnered by Times Influence.